Day 18. We must learn a lesson from Miriam's mistake. When we speak Lashon Hara, we transgress the mitzvah of Avos Yisroel. Miriam's mistake and Avos Yisroel. Among the 613 mitzvahs is the command Zochar Asher Asa Hashem Elokecha of Miriam Baderech B'Tzeischa Mitzrayim. Remember what Hashem, your God, did to Miriam on the way when you left Egypt. Miriam was stricken with saras after she criticized her brother Moshe Rabbeinu. In a private conversation with her brother Aaron HaKohen, she criticized Moshe because she misjudged him. She did not realize that because of Moshe's level of prophecy was greater than that of any prophet who ever lived, he needed to live a different kind of life. By misjudging him, she was guilty of speaking Lashon Hara. When discussing the mitzvah to remember this incident, the Ramban writes, the Torah commands that we remember the great punishment that Hashem brought upon the righteous prophetess Miriam, who spoke only against her brother, with whom she did kindness, and whom she loved like her own self, and she did not speak in his presence, which would have embarrassed him. Nor she did speak about him in public. She spoke only between herself and her holy brother Aaron in private. Yet all her good deeds did not help her to escape the punishment for speaking Lashon Hara. So too, you will not escape punishment if you speak to your brother against a fellow Jew. The mitzvah of V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your fellow as yourself, is the great rule in the Torah. As the Tana Rabbi Akiva said, Sefer China calls this mitzvah calls the mitzvah of Avos Yisroel. In the Chofetz Chaim's words, we are commanded to be concerned for someone else's money as we would be for our own. To be concerned for his honor and to speak his praises in the same way we are concerned for our own honor. When someone speaks Lashon Hara or Rechilus about a fellow Jew, or accepts Lashon Hara or Rechilus, even if the information is true, he shows clearly that he does not love him at all. Surely he has not fulfilled the kamocha requirement of this verse, meaning to love a person like one's own self. Chofetz Chaim makes a powerful point. No one is perfect. We all have faults. Yet no one wants others to know about his faults in the slightest way. If someone were to discover one of my faults and tell someone else about it, I would be thinking, oh, how I hope that he won't believe what was just said about me. Yet, this fault that I want so badly to keep a secret is only a fraction of the faults I possess. It is only because I care about myself so much that I don't want anyone to think of me in a bad light. This is the way we have to think when it comes to another person's honor. We must protect his dignity and make no mention of his faults. In a nutshell, we must learn a lesson from Miriam's mistake, and we must speak Lashon Hara. When we speak Lashon Hara, we transgress the mitzvah of Avos Yisroel. Day 19. In a nutshell, speaking Lashon Hara can result from not judging others favorably, and can damage another person's livelihood, and a most serious sin. Cookies and wood. As the saying goes, truth is stranger than fiction. That certainly was true in the case of the disappearing cookies. Some 20 years ago, an 8th grade student, a yeshiva student, returned to class after recess and discovered that a bag of cookies was missing from his desk. Only one boy had remained in the classroom during recess and denied any knowledge of what had happened to the cookies. The cookies' owner found this impossible to believe. They were in my desk when I left the room at the beginning of the recess, and you admit that no one was in the room during recess other than yourself. And yet you claim that you have no idea where my cookies are. I'll tell you where they are. You ate them. As soon as the Rabbi entered the room, the student rushed over to him, pointed a finger at the other boy, and shouted, "He stole my cookies!" The mystery was solved. A few minutes later, when another Rabbi walked into the room and said, "You are not going to believe what I saw. I was walking by this classroom a few minutes ago when I noticed a squirrel scampering along the window ledge. Suddenly, it began to jump from desk to desk until it came to that desk, and he pointed and took out a bag of cookies. I was amazed by the squirrel's sense of smell. It knew exactly which desk there was food. I watched it disappear out the window as it dragged the bag with his teeth. The owner of the cookies meekly apologized to the other boy. The Torah states, "Tzedek tishbot amisecha," judge your fellow favorably. From here we learn the obligation to be dam kavschus, to give others the benefit of the doubt. If we see an average Jew do something that has even a chance of being either bad or good, we must assume that he has not done anything bad. If he is known as a Yerushalayim, then even if it seems more likely that he has done wrong, we are obligated to give him the benefit of the doubt. In our story, the owner of the cookies has no proof that the other boy has done anything wrong. By telling the Rebbe he stole my cookies, he was guilty of speaking Lashon Hara and not giving the boy the benefit of the doubt. What he could have done was to report to the Rebbe that his cookies were missing and that the Rebbe might want to speak to the boy who had remained in the room. The boy probably would have told the Rebbe that he was absorbed in a book and would not have noticed if anyone had quietly stepped into the room during recess. He certainly would not have noticed a squirrel scrambling across the desks. There are more serious situations where Lashon Hara involves multiple sins. Mr. and Mrs. Smolner hired Yankee and his crew to rip out the old floor in the dining room and replace it with a new wood floor. The Smolners were not fully pleased with the finished product, and they asked for a reduction in price. Yankee insisted that the finished product was fine and demanded the full price that had been agreed upon. Mr. Smolner paid the full price, but at every opportunity he told others